Welcome to What Things Are Made Of. I'm your host, geologist Dick Gibson. These presentations are based on my book, What Things Are Made Of, America's Global Dependency for Nearly Everything. We'll start the series with a commonplace object, the lowly pencil. The Romans used sticks of lead to scribe on stone and other surfaces. Lead is soft enough to leave a mark when you drag it across something, but for their finer writing, Romans usually used a pointed stylus and scratched their letters into wax or something else that was pretty soft. Let's fast forward more than a millennium. People did start to use graphite for writing, initially for marking on sheep. Graphite is a pure mineral, pure carbon, and one of the softest minerals found in nature. It has a greasy feel, and today graphite is even used in some dry lubricants. It's greasy because of its crystal structure, thin sheets of carbon molecules that are not bonded to each other very well, so it breaks apart and leaves a streak on even soft things like paper. And in fact, the name graphite comes from a Greek word that means writing. In the 1560s, at Borrowdale in England's Lake District, one of the best deposits of graphite known in Europe was discovered. Besides marking sheep, graphite was used to line cannonball molds. This made them smoother, and so this was an important deposit for war purposes as well. By the late 1700s, a thriving pencil industry was built on the Borrowdale deposits, and it served all of Europe. These pencils were made from sticks of solid graphite. The ultimate geologic origin of these rocks and the graphite deposit there is kind of controversial. We're pretty sure that they are formed in lavas that date to Ordovician time. That's about 440 million years ago or so. The controversy is largely around whether or not the carbon came from something organic or otherwise. As you may know, there weren't too many life forms running around back in the Ordovician period. If they did, they were in the oceans. So a good concentrated source of organic material is a little bit challenging to figure out. Geologists are still working on it. So the Borrowdale graphite was important for pencils across Europe. But now, about 1790, with the French Revolution and its aftermath, Europe was plunged into the Napoleonic Wars. England and France weren't exactly getting along, and English fleets blockaded France to prevent imports from reaching the continent, and those imports included pencils. In Paris, the head of the Paris Conservatory of Arts and Crafts, one Nicolas Jacques Conté, needed pencils. He concocted a way of mixing flake graphite, which was not really satisfactory for pencils, with clay. He pressed the mixture between two half-cylinders of wood, and voila! The modern pencil was born about 1795. The more clay you mix with graphite, the harder the pencil is. Today's medium grades of pencil are about 40% clay. In the United States, early Dixon brand pencils were made with graphite that came from mines in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. I am definitely no expert on Massachusetts geology, but I think that the graphite there is in metamorphic rocks that were cooked and altered by granitic intrusions during the tectonic events called the Acadian and Alleghenian orogenies that ultimately built the Appalachian mountain ranges about 300 to 200 million years ago. Dixon's famous Ticonderoga pencil brand comes from the processing plant that he had built at Ticonderoga, New York in 1815. Today, the United States does not produce any natural graphite of its own, and we import all of our natural graphite from China, Mexico, Canada, Brazil, and a few bits from Sri Lanka and Madagascar and elsewhere. Apart from the wood, all of the various parts of pencils also have mineral origins. The eraser today is probably a synthetic rubber made from natural gas or petroleum that could be imported from anywhere in the world. The first erasers were attached to pencils in 1858 by one Hyman Lipman in Philadelphia, and at that time they may have been natural rubber. The clay that you have in the pencil itself can also be mixed into the eraser along with pigments to make that eraser work well. Pigments in the paint on the pencil are ultimately derived from minerals as well. The crimp holding the eraser to the tip might be steel, made from iron ore mined in Minnesota or Canada, or it might be aluminum, made from bauxite ore imported from Jamaica or Guinea or Brazil. Some of the crimps on pencils are made from brass, copper, and zinc. That might be mined in the United States, but the U.S. does depend on imports from Chile and other places for about a third of our copper. And we also import a lot of zinc, mostly from Peru, Canada, and Mexico. I hope you enjoyed this little presentation. Join us next time to learn more about what things are made of.